in the Revelation, Jesus began to give accolades to the church at Ephesus, the Ephesians. He said that you borne, in other words, you bear the burden. You have had patience. You've been waiting quietly without complaining. He says, for my name's sake, you have labored. You have worked in the face of opposition. Labor, get out there. I'm working in pain. I'm doing it for Christ, but there's difficulties involved with it, for whatever it is. And we can relate to that when you're working for Christ. That first of all, going to be misunderstanding. Amen. When you're working for Christ, there's going to be some types of problems. Yes. So labor gives the idea, I'm working, but I'm working with pain. Amen. He said, you've done all these good things. But then after he gave them all of the positive, he said, nevertheless. In other words, he said, I have somewhat against you. Because you left your first love. Because see, what you've been doing, you've been working in pain. You've been working in patience and quiet. And that'll take a toll on you when you're working patiently and quietly and not retaliating. It takes a lot to hold your peace and count to 10 every other day. Y'all better help me. And the Bible said they left their first love. You know how it is on your job. You've been holding your peace. You've been trying to keep the peace. And I'm going to put this out on my text one day. Sometimes when you want to keep the peace, you have to hold your peace. Because sometimes you just being quiet will keep it from going to the next level. So Jesus let them know, I still have somewhat against you. Because you left your first love. You don't have that fire in your belly anymore to serve me. You're serving me. You're doing things, but you're not doing it like you did at the beginning. You cut back on serving God. You cut back on your faithfulness. You cut back on doing for Him. We've increased in the other areas. We're just loading our plate up when it comes to other things. But your first love, you used to really love to do for God and just made room and time for Him. Come on. I'm not going to stay there. No, y'all get quiet on me. He said, but in the 5th verse, he said, unless you repent, he said, I'm going to come quick and remove your candlestick out of his place, except you repent. He said, now he does another but. Now he goes back to something positive. He says, this thou hast, that thou hatest, you hated the deeds, the acts, the works of the Nicolaitans. Nicholas was a deacon, one of the first deacons, one of the first 7. And that word Nicholas means conqueror. Nicolaitan, conqueror of people, of laity. And he said, I hate the Nicolaitans. They were a group of people that felt like that the people, the laity, should be dominated and conquered. And it literally was from the pulpit. And the pulpit was conquering and dominating the laity, the people. And he said, that's one thing I like that you do. You hate the way that they operate. He said, and I hate it too. Y'all not here. God hated when the pulpit tries to dominate and conquer the laity. God doesn't believe in domination and conquer by people over people. We're supposed to be serving God, not man. And he said, don't you serve a man stand up here with his collar turned backwards. You best be serving God. Y'all better help me. All that man is a representative. He's not the one that you're supposed to be holding up as something so like Jesus himself. God said, I hate those Nicolaitans. I almost said it a little bit. Y'all better help me with this. But watch what he says in Revelation 2:8 to Smyrna. Read what it says in Revelation 2:8.
And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna.
He's writing this letter to the angel of the pastor of this church in Smyrna. Read it.
These things says the first and the last, which was dead and is alive.
This is Jesus saying these words. Read it.
I know thy works.
Come on.
And tribulation.
Oh, wait a minute. I know the way you have been operating in your troubles, your tribulations, your problems. And I know what else?
And poverty.
And I know you don't have all of the necessities of life. And you don't have a lot of money. Read what it says.
But thou art rich.
But you are rich, even though you don't have material things. That's why I'm telling you something here today. Just because you don't have as much as somebody else or as big as somebody else, that doesn't mean that you're not wealthy. I'm telling you, many of us sitting here now have more than the Trumps and the Rockefellers and the Kennedys put together. said, yet you are rich. Read what he said.
And I know the blasphemy of them.
But I also know those that's talking about you. Speaking evil of you. Read it.
Which say they are Jews.
And they say that they are God's people, that they are Christians, and that they're saved, but they're just saying it. Read it.
They are not.
But they're really not. Read it.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
They really energized with the devil. Y'all better help me right now. There's a lot of people that blaspheme you, speak against you, speak evil about you. Sometimes they're just put out in what they call an innuendo. Yeah, thank you. Because they're just trying to give the impression that there's something wrong with you. Y'all better help me. If I had time right now, I'd be talking about Goldman Sachs right now. They're trying to get the impression of some stuff right now. But let me tell you right now that God is looking at whoever is against you. Read what the word says.
Fear none of those things.
But don't fear. Read.
Which thou shalt suffer.
Come on.
Behold, the devil shall cast.
Now wait a minute. The devil is going to cast what? Some of us. We're going to end up in jail. I promise you. We're going to end up in jail.
That's right.
I may just be the first one. I don't know.
All right.
But some of us going to get caught, thrown into jail by Satan. Read it.
That ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
The 10 days represent you won't be that long.
All right. All right.
Even if they're arrested. Don't y'all come back and don't waste it when I'm bailed out. I can do 10 days. Brother Free, don't get bailed. Don't y'all come bail me out. Leave me in there and let Boyd preach that sermon. Let Lord preach the next sermon. I'll be out in 10 days. Y'all not here. Because he's already told us, he's given us power to tread.
Right.
I told you Sunday, tread gives the idea of a step that's deliberate. Listen, it's a step you put pressure. You're walking, and as you're walking, you're putting pressure on whatever you're stepping on.
Yes, sir.
So it's a way you carry yourself when you're walking. When you are literally, he says, tread upon the serpent and the scorpion. I don't care what the devil is. He said, all your enemies, it doesn't matter who they are, you have power to tread on them.
Right. Come on. Preach.
Lord, help me today. So I don't care what come against us, whether it's through blasphemy, speech, that's speech. See, some people will come against you with talk. I heard a pastor when you preaching, he always said, talk man, talk. Talk man, talk. And just people can use talk and destroy much with talk. Paul even said with their strong speeches.
Come on.